Welcome to TOI Auto, and we are at the drive of the new Skoda Kushaq. But before we go ahead and drive the car, there's a lot more to talk about it. It's a new product, and to talk about it, we've got the best person. We've got Ashish Gupta with us.
Hi, Arpit.
Ashish,
Hi. Nice to
thank
meet
you
you
for
again.
joining us.
Yeah.
And well, finally, the car is here, and a lot of people have expectations. With new Kushaq coming in, it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of this segment itself, can you briefly tell us, how the segment is shaping up right now, and what are your expectations from this?
No, I think the segment has always been at the heart of the Indian market. This is where most of the action is. Of course, the smaller cars, the Kailak segment is the much bigger segment. But this segment sits right at the heart of the Indian growth story. So the automotive growth story. And because of that, it is also a hyper competitive segment. Every manufacturer, every brand wants to be in this segment, wants to make a name for itself, and we are lucky that we were among the first movers in this segment to bring in products into this segment. The Kushaq has been a much loved product, not only by the customers, but it's an emotional product for us as well, because this was the first product of the India 2.0 strategy. Yeah. So I think this refresh of the new Kushaq is very close to our heart. I'm sure the customers will also see that heart coming out in what we have done with this product.
In the car itself, a lot of changes have been made across the board. But from the previous Kushaq, what are the key learnings or the customer insights you got in, which you tried and incorporated?
I think a lot of insights. Of course, we needed to refresh the design, which we have done in a very brilliant way. You have a fully redesigned front, a light band, an illuminated light band in the front, sequential turn indicators in the back, illuminated Skoda lettering in the back. But that is not all in terms of changes. You have an all-new panoramic sunroof in the car. You have a fully digital and a full-size instrument cluster inside the car. The big news is, of course, the introduction of the 8-speed automatic, the first in the segment, and taking insights from customers and who our customers have been with the Kushaq. There's a rear seat massage function, a first in segment feature once again. A lot of feedback we have also taken on board by introducing the rear disc brakes in the 1.5 liter engine options. But the big news, I think, is also in terms of insights. You spoke about the segment and customer. One of the insights was that, and what we have implemented into our new Kushaq is also democratization of technology. Right from the base variant, which is the Classic Plus, we start with automatics first of all. We start with alloy wheels as standard. We start with automatic climate control as standard. We have an electric sunroof as standard right from the base variant. We have a lot of small safety features like auto IRVM, rear defogger, rear wiper as standard in our car. So a lot of features which kind of democratize technology for customers at every price point. So that, I think, is the bigger story that is relevant not only for the Kushaq but for our entire portfolio.
So very interesting. Mention how you're democratizing the technology. Now, a lot of your rivals basically go by a different strategy.
Yeah.
The base variant has got very little, and then the game is all about the mid-spec and the top variants. So what is your plan here, focusing on the base variant so much?
I think the whole idea has been how can you add more and more value for the customers. At every price point, you have different sets of customers coming in, and we know that Indian customers, people say, are price conscious. I would say Indian customers are more value conscious. So our entire effort across the portfolio is to bring more and more value to every price point that we offer in the market.
And the rear seat massaging function, now that's a unique feature to this segment. So was that based on some consumer insight, or is it something that came up?
So I would say largely based on consumer insight. Our cars are known for their driving dynamics, and we all assume that these are mostly driver-driven cars. True, to some extent. But when I look at the around 100,000 customers that we have for the Kushaq, we also found that we went back to the customers, we did market research, we did customer clinics. There are a lot of customers, who sit at the back, and one of the constant refrains was, "Sab driver ke bare mein sochte hain, hamare bare mein koi nahi sochta." And we know from our own experience being family men that most of the decisions and directions are actually coming from the rear. So I think we felt that we needed to do something for the rear passengers as well, and that's why that was one of the insights that we brought in bringing the rear seat massager. But more than that, you also need to flaunt something in your car, right? So that is something which is a natural requirement for Indian customers. I should be able to say to my friend, "Meri gaadi mein ye hai." So that is also one of the reasons. It is a talking point. It's a bragging right that our customers will have.
And with this, you're also offering a 4-year
A super care package, yes. Yeah.
package. Now, a very different way of asking question is that 4 years good for the consumer. Yes, they'll feel more confident. What about your dealer partners? I mean, a lot of car makers make money on servicing. So,
No, I think so. At the end of the day, it's all about customer retention. The super care package is standard with 4 years warranty, 4 years roadside assistance, and 4 free services. But at the same time, it offers our dealers also a chance to interact with customers more. Yeah, there is better customer retention coming into your dealerships, and when the customers come to the dealerships, definitely they will also look at value-added services. They will also look at more accessory fitments. So these are business opportunities definitely for dealers as well. Of course, based on agreement with the customer. That is what we are driving at. So it increases your customer retention into your dealer network.
the segment that you have entered, Ashish, with this, or where you have been playing, it's a super competitive segment. You've got some legacy brands that are already doing good, and you have new entrants coming in. So, in terms of sales, what are your expectations from this? Is there a certain percentage of the pie you are aiming at?
Yeah, so I am a sales guy at the end of the day, and I have learned from experience that never say your targets on camera. Yeah, so it can come back to bite you either in the public or from your headquarters. So I'm very careful in that. But having said that, at the end of the day, you are also looking at garnering some kind of a market share, a segment share. We know that our product is petrol only, but within petrol, turbocharged engines, and that's our unique selling point as well in terms of powertrains, and along with a host of other strengths that this brand has, whether it is build quality, whether it is safety, whether it is driving dynamics. So I'm looking at least increasing my segment share from what we did with the earlier Kushaq without giving you any numbers.
Okay. Yeah. And in terms of your buyers, can you give us a bit of insight into like what's the average age of the buyer, the average ticket price right now for Skoda as a brand?
See, again, with the introduction of the Kayak, on an average, of course, the price ranges have shifted a little bit downwards. That is the nature of the portfolio. That is also nature of how the segment operates. But if you look at our customer profile for the Kushaq, typically, and this would be true for most of the brands, Arpit, in India, because who are the buyers in India? Who are buying cars? Everybody who's buying cars in India, 80% of them are in the age group of 35 to 46. Yeah. If you look at any brand's matrix in terms of customer profile, they will be mostly, married with 1 child or 2 children, mid-level executive. Yeah. So those or corporate guys or businessmen. So that is the nature of our demography in India as well, whose dividend we as a market are also exploiting. So my customer profile is not very different, but because of our brand's positioning, because of our brand's legacy of being a European premium brand, I do see a lot of high-level executives, and especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, a lot of traders, businessmen who know the Skoda brand and who love the Skoda brand also continuing to patronize us.
And lastly, Ashish, of all the changes that have been made inside the car, which is your one personal favorite, and also among the new shades, which is your personal favorite?
Okay. So my favorite shade, if I can start with that, is the steel grey, which you would see in the Monte Carlo. I just love that color. Yeah, it gives a different dimension to that car itself. In terms of feature, there's so many features that I love in the car here. But I think the 8-speed automatic, I drove that car and it's a class apart.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you so much for your insights, Ashish. As always, pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Arpit. Thank you.